Well, I'm in Hong Kong, one of the most interesting cities in the world. You can see this is a Saturday afternoon. If we just come over here, you can see all the hundreds and hundreds of people that are walking down on this very busy road, one of the large shopping centers. Nathan Road is just down that way. Over on this side over here is where the trees are. You can see the wall of the largest mosque here in Hong Kong. Over here you can see two posters, billboards. Those are where the Christians are doing their evangelism. About 100 feet away is where the Muslims are doing their evangelism. We've already gone and talked to them and asked them why they had me banned last night. The man who actually had me banned did not want to respond. We were supposed to have a debate today. Nonetheless, I don't want to just talk about that. What I really want to talk about are these FAQs that we have been doing all over the world. And one of the FAQs, the frequently asked questions that comes up over and over again, has to do with the idea that Jesus is a man of peace. And Muslims will always say, yes, he may be a man of peace, but what are you going to do with certain verses in the New Testament which shows he isn't a man of peace, such as Matthew chapter 10, verse 34. Let me read that to you in the Bible. Matthew 10, verse 34, which says, "Do not suppose I have come to bring peace to the earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword." That looks like Jesus is not a man of peace. He says it very clearly, I have not come to bring peace, but a sword. How do we answer that? Well, simply you need to look at the entire context. You need to look at the entire chapter of Matthew chapter 10. Because Matthew 10 is the commissioning of the 12 disciples by Jesus Christ himself. And Jesus is sending out the 12 disciples, and he says, I'm sending you out as lamb before wolves. And then he promises them 5 things. He says, you're going to be hated for my name. How many of us have been hated for Jesus Christ's name? Number 2, you're going to be persecuted for my name. Have you been persecuted for Christ's name? Number 3, you're going to be jailed for my name and flogged for my name. Can we say that has happened to us? I've been flogged but never jailed. And then number 5, the most serious, you will be killed for my name. So these are the 5 things that Jesus promises the 12 disciples as he sends them out, showing that the entire commissioning assumed that there would be persecution. And that's why he says, I have not come to bring peace, I have come to bring the sword. Look at the application in the very next verse. For I have come to turn a man against his father, and a daughter against her mother, a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. Man's enemies will be the member of his own household. This sword is going to come from our own parents. It's going to come from our own relatives. We don't use the sword. The sword's going to be used against us. There's the context. So if you take this verse in isolation, it's nothing to do with a sword. Jesus never used a sword, never let any of us use a sword, never let even his disciples defend him with a sword. It's saying very clearly, if we really preach the gospel, and if we really talk about Jesus, we're going to be hated, we're going to be persecuted, we're going to be jailed, we're going to be flogged, we are going to be killed. For he did not come to bring peace. The gospel is not a gospel of peace, folks. It's going to cause your own family to go against you. Your mother, your father, your relatives are going to go against you. And then he says, whoever does not take up the cross and follow me is not worthy of me. Folks, we should expect to be hated and persecuted, and yes, possibly even killed. That's what it takes to give the gospel here in Hong Kong, in China, all over the world. And we're seeing examples of that we have for the last 2,000 years. Anytime the gospel has been preached correctly, we have seen persecution. We have seen the sword against us. No, Christ is not asking us to use the sword. He's saying we should expect the sword. That's quite a commissioning. I was never commissioned like that. And yet, I expect all of us should receive our own commissioning. Oh God. Listen, this is Jay here in Hong Kong. God bless you. Over and out.